All right, folks, welcome to another edition of Nino's Corner.tv. I have Mary Fanning coming on today. You've heard her on the 𝗬𝗏𝗶𝗹 show's Midnight Caravan. She doesn't like to show her identity. She's a great guest. She has a lot of information. We're going to be talking about the Western Alliance. We're going to be talking about the John Bolton indictment. Where is this all going? More indictments to come. Folks, this is all going to be a great show today. I promise you're going to get a lot of information on this one today. First of all, hit the notifications button. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Get involved in the chat. If you're on Facebook, please move over to YouTube. Help us out there. It helps out the algorithms, folks. Also, Venmo, 𝗬𝗏𝗏1977, 𝗬𝗏𝗏1977. If you appreciate me, I absolutely appreciate you. Some of you don't like to give on the super chat, so yeah, you can give on Venmo, 𝗬𝗏𝗏1977. I'm going to be doing a lot more in-person podcasts. I got another in-person podcast coming up in November. Got some big guests lined up, powerful guests. Nino's Corner.tv, ringside with Nino on October 29th. It's only $11 a month, folks, and we do a Black Sheep Family wargaming together. It's fun. We talk about a lot of different stuff, and we always hit it out of the park. And we have a chat going on the side. The whole Black Sheep community is a part of this. So if you're bored like me, and you know me, I live a sober life now. Can't believe I never would have thought 6 years ago I'd be doing this. I did not have this at all in my mind, in my soul. I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't know. It's so weird. I was an athlete. I was a drunk. And now here I am doing podcasts with prophetics. Some prophetics. I do almost like a Bible study. This is insane. I can't believe where my life has gone. The Lord works in mysterious ways, folks. That's all I can say. And today I have Mary Fanning on, and she's going to be a great guest. When the Lights Go Out. When the Lights Go Out on Amazon. Please leave an honest review. You all know I wrote this on my iPhone with my thumb. I got tendonitis in my thumb. I wrote this book, When the Lights Go Out. Please leave an honest review. From Survivor to Champion. It's my memoir. Also my mama's book. And you all know I appreciate all the prayers for my mom, the Mexican Mix. My dad and my mother are having a very hard time right now. My dad's in rehab. He's out of ICU. He's in rehab right now, and he's bribing me to get home. He wants to get the hell out of there, and it's rough. It's been a rough ride, folks, but I appreciate all the prayers and concern for my father and my mother. So thank you so much. You know I'm going through it pretty heavy. I'm running on fumes, folks. I'm running on fumes, literally. Also, trim with Nino. Get your trim with Nino. A lot of you are trying to turn to Ozempic and things like that, folks. There's no need for that. There's no need for needles or any of that stuff. Headlines everywhere talk about Ozempic and similar weight loss shots. But what most people don't realize is this: a major analysis just found that people who stop taking these injections gain nearly all their weight back within a year. That's the catch. These drugs only work while you're taking them. They're expensive, and the moment you stop, your body fights back, and you gain all the weight back. And who knows what damage you're doing to your body while you're on them. This is why I use this new product that I'm obsessed with and how it makes my body look. GLP-1 𝗬𝗏 helps my body naturally trigger the same hunger controlling, craving reducing signals that Ozempic does, but without the needles, prescriptions, or side effects. It promotes safety and fullness, helps reduce hunger hormones, supports fat loss instead of muscle loss, and even helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels so that I finally get the results that I want. Folks, this works. I don't have the cravings I used to have, and I'm able to fast for much longer. I still fast, but I add this into my repertoire. Get a bag of BioTrust GLP-1 for 40% off today and start experiencing real results. At Trim with Nino, it should be down there below, folks. Plus, they have a promotion right now that includes a 60-day satisfaction guarantee with every order of the expedited shipping and subscription. So this stuff works. I've been using it. I don't peddle anything I don't try. Also, Nino's Corner.tv. I got 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗍 up there right now. You guys saw him on YouTube, but I also got it up there on .tv. Wano Saving doubleheaders up there. Mary Fanning talking about the Western Alliance, the John Podesta, Gavin Newsom Western Alliance. That's going up right when we finish this show. Everything we're going to cover today on YouTube in depth is going to be on 𝗬𝗏𝗠𝗏𝗏 right after this show. You don't want to miss it. Your front row seat to the deep state war, folks. Also, 𝗬𝗏𝗂𝘁's up there, and Melissa Redpill showing the Economist magazine cover, how it kind of foretold everything that happened in Israel on October 7th, everything. It's all on the cover. It's unbelievable. All right, folks. And the General's tent, Sheila Holm and 107 October 30th in the General's tent. And then Mary Fanning's coming on November 20th. She's bringing on some surprise generals, real generals that will be on the General's tent November 20th, 5 p.m. And without further ado, folks, you might want to turn it down or turn it up. I give you the option because I'm a nice guy. Here we go. Coming at you live from the apocalypse, folks. Yeah. You know, all these journalists out there. Oh, I can't stand Nino. He just screams too much. Well, you can turn it down, baby. And I read the news the way I want to read the news because it shouldn't be taken seriously because it's a joke. At least the mainstream media is a joke, okay? We cover the real stuff here. So let's get into this. Deep state war explodes. John Bolton indicted, and I heard it's going to be a lot worse than people think. SOUTHCOM shaking, cartels target ICE, baby. So, all right, folks, more moves now on the deep state chessboard have been played. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton has now just been indicted by a grand jury in Maryland. And SOUTHCOM is shaken by Navy Admiral Alvin Halsey, who became the commander of SOUTHCOM in November of 2024, has announced Thursday that he would retire from the Navy in December. No reason for his abrupt departure was provided. I think Mary can shed some light on that as well. So think of these two pawns on the chessboard now being blocked or trapped into position as the war picks up speed in October. As the government remains shut down, gold and silver prices are beginning to soar, folks. I've told you many times, get on Noble Gold, get your silver. It is soaring, and it's going to get higher and higher. I've heard silver can hit 75. I've heard gold can hit $5,000. It's crazy. Crazy. America has quickly fallen into the third world law and order, okay, with a jungle of the third world. Why, you say? Well, cartels now are putting hits on ICE agents and Border Patrol. Well, you say, well, that's been happening. Not like now. $50,000 bounties on Border Patrol agents and ICE agents. So cartels issuing bounties up to $50,000 for hits on ICE, CBP agents, and DHS. This is serious. This is what they do in Mexico. And I've always talked about this on my program. I've said this many, many times. Cartel warfare will hit the streets of America. And U-Hauls are being seen dropping off gear and supplies to protesters in Portland and Chicago. So we're going to be finding out who's funding all that. And it's interesting because I think Mary's going to talk about the Western Alliance a little bit today. Like I said, in depth, it's on @Nino'sCorner.tv, but really we're going to touch on that a little bit today. And while all of this is happening, you got Mike Pence. Mike Pence out there pushing his book, which I believe Mike Pence will be indicted soon. Get your copy of So Help Me God, my story of faith, family, and public service. Does anybody take this guy seriously? Anybody in my audience believe anything from this traitor Judas Pence? Yeah, I said it. Judas Pence wants you to buy his book, So Help Me God. Like as if, oh, I did the right thing going against Trump. Yeah. Then you got Newsom. And we're going to get into Newsom today. This will make a lot more sense when I bring on my guest, Mary. I urge our nation to use this weekend's No Kings marches as a declaration of independence against the tyranny and lawlessness currently running this country. Use your voice, act peacefully, protect yourself and your community. There are no kings in the United States. So what are you saying? So we should allow illegal immigration? That's basically what you're saying. What you're doing is saying, oh, no. Break the laws, cross the border, come stay here, and do what you want, okay? And when we lay down the law, when Trump lays down the hammer, he's the villain. Trump is the villain. He's the bad guy. He's the Hitler. See how they did this with Biden? They invaded the country. They were bribed. They were brought in. They were funded to come into the country as an invasion. Biden was the Trojan horse. And then now this is cleanup, and they're fighting against it. And now you've heard 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗃𝗁 talk about Antifa, the Muslim Brotherhood, CCP, all rolled up into one, all working together. It's real, folks. Ex-National Security Advisor John Bolton indicted. Greenbelt, Maryland. John Bolton, Donald Trump's former National Security Advisor, was indicted on Thursday, CNN reported. I'm reading from CNN. Citing two sources, the indictment marks the third time in recent weeks that the Justice Department has secured criminal charges against one of the Republican president's critics. His critics. It's retribution. It's revenge. No, this is justice. This is called justice. That's what this is. The indictment comes after court documents made public last month revealed that Bolton was under federal investigation for potential mishandling classified information. The CNN report did not say that Bolton was what he was being charged with. A lawyer for Bolton has previously denied that Bolton engaged in wrongdoing. Trump, who campaigned for the presidency on a vow of retribution after facing a slew of legal woes once his first term in the White House ended in 2021, has dispensed with decades-long norms designed to insulate federal law enforcement from political pressures. Folks, these people are in deep shit. There's going to be more charges hitting them, more people getting indicted, and I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again right here, right now. This will go military. Now, when? I don't know. I can't tell you that. Hopefully, Mary can shed some light on that. But SOUTHCOM commander announces sudden retirement amid Trump drug war in Caribbean. The commander of the U.S. Southern Command, SOUTHCOM, whose area of operations includes the Caribbean waters, where the strikes against the alleged drug boats have been conducted, announced he is retiring suddenly by the end of the year. Or is he being made to step down? That's my question. Navy Admiral 𝗬𝗏𝗏, who became the commander of SOUTHCOM in November 2024, announced Thursday that he would retire from the Navy in December. No reason for his abrupt departure was provided. It's getting interesting, folks. It's getting really interesting. And more B-52s are flying off the coast of Venezuela to show force by Trump. It's kind of like what China's doing to Taiwan. It seems like that's what we're doing to Venezuela. I've asked I've asked certain people when they think that we're going to strike Venezuela, and they have told me much sooner than you think. So I would say by the end of this year. That's my guess. It's just a guess. But in less than a week, President Donald Trump has threatened to attack Venezuela using ground troops, confirmed ongoing covert operations inside the country, and ordered bombers capable of dropping nuclear weapons to fly in circles off its coast in what appears to be an unprecedented show of force intended to pressure the Venezuelan president to step down. Nah. We don't just want you to step down. I don't know. I've heard he's wanted more. He's wanted alive more than dead. I guess we'll see how this plays out. I don't think it matters at this point. But he holds important keys to 2020, and that's all I'll say with that. Along with the cartels are now issuing bounties of up to $50,000 for hits on ICE, CBP agents, and DHS. This is incredible. There's credible intelligence that members of Mexican drug cartels have offered a tiered bounty system for hits against Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and U.S. Customs and Border Patrol Protection, CBP, officers, according to the Department of Homeland Security. 2 weeks ago, the Justice Department charged a member of the Chicago-based Latin Kings, there used to be a Latin Kings gang here in El Paso, with putting a bounty on Greg Bovino, the CBP commander overseeing the surge of operations in Los Angeles, Chicago, and Portland. I said this many times. Cartel warfare has now entered America. And folks, I've seen some video clips on Instagram and on TikTok and things like that of shootouts, massive shootouts happening in Mexico right now. So it is picking up. And I was waiting for this, and it looks like it's, I don't know, it's arrived right on time. All right, let's bring in Mary Fanning. Mary Fanning, thank you so much for joining me. Sorry for the making you wait for so long.
Not at all. It's nice to be with you, David. There's so much going on in our country. Uh, your listeners need to understand that what we are looking at is Bolshevik 2.0.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so they're attempting to dismantle and destroy the United States of America. And you mentioned No Kings. It's imperative for people to understand that who is funding No Kings. People like Indivisible, that's George Soros. They actually put on their banner that not only Indivisible, but the CCP. They proudly display that the CCP is behind and supporting the No Kings movement.
Wow.
They,
Wow.
yeah.
And the No Kings, I think, is what is it this month?
Yes,
It
I
has to be
believe
soon.
that's
Yeah, No
coming up.
Kings protest organizer prepare for possible Trump crackdown. Organizers and supporters told Notice they expect a peaceful Saturday. So I guess this Saturday, is that what they're
Coming
doing
up.
it?
Coming up. But look at what we're watching in this country. We haven't seen anything like this since when the weathermen, Bill Ayers, weatherman, Barack Obama, the guy where he launched his presidency out of his living room. And it's imperative to see the foundation of who these people are. Because, as I said, this is Bolshevik 2.0, just like Bolshevik 1.0, where they're coming in to not only destroy the country, but to take the country, to take the Constitution down, to take our rights to freedom, to free speech. Remember what they say? You will own nothing and you will be happy. Well,
Jeez.
I guess that's kind of like you'll be happy to take your country and put you in 15-minute cities where you're not allowed to leave other than beyond a parameter, those that they decide that you can have food, or perhaps if they get through their digital currency, right? And if
Right.
they put through the digital currency, it comes with control. We had a brigadier general on recently on the intelligence briefing, and he spoke to how the digital currency would go and that we'll fund our currency now with gold. And but then he went a little bit sideways, and he started telling about, I said, well, this sounds like you'll have complete control should you have a digital currency. He said, well, but it will be gold back.
Uh,
And so, right. And so he said, I said, you're talking about Chinese social credit scores.
what
And
general was this? Can you just say who the general was?
yeah, no, I'm not going to embarrass him. And he
Okay.
said, yeah,
Okay.
he was in charge of Gitmo. He
Oh
said,
wow.
well, yeah, I am talking, he said, because we really have no choice. I said, wait a minute. So we're going to get a digital currency and hoorah, it's backed by gold, but you'll get whatever we tell you you can have. Oh, and we're going to implement the Chinese social credit scores. Until people understand how people are living in China and understand what that portends, look at the Uyghurs. Those are the people that they go after in the CCP. Understand that the bankers put Mao in place. He killed 100 million of his own people. They are still taking people like the Uyghurs. They put them in prison. They take their organs. They keep them alive as they take their organs. And then they use their bodies for food for the prisoners.
Jeez. Yeah.
Does that sound like America to you?
No, and people need to really understand that we are in the fight right now. I always say this. I use this analogy that we simply stormed Normandy with Trump being in office. There's so much more to go. It's really going to pick up speed now. Like they're really coming together. We're on a collision course with the deep state, right? It's almost like we're playing chicken.
That is
And
a great description, David. A great description. The
thank you.
war, we are now just aware that we are in a war. They
Right, and
declared
it
war
starts
on the
now.
people some time ago. And through the Obama administration, particularly, and the Biden administration, they had declared war on us. They had taken the tools of government and they were turning them on the American people. We are at war. And when you see things like that, think about this. When have you ever seen an advertisement for things like Indivisible and the CCP that we're going to have a rally for the No Kings? This is all pure Alinsky to make the people believe they're living under the slavery of kings so that they can overthrow the country. This is
And it's
pure
working.
Alinsky.
It's working.
Well, why is it working? You know why it's working, because they are paying the people in the streets to protest. They're not just coming out here because they believe in this movement. They're being paid to do this by the likes of George Soros, by the likes of the Communist Party. The CCP was never anything but initially a Soviet and a Chinese organization. If people understand unrestricted warfare, the plan that the Chinese put out in a book letting us know how they were going to take down the country. They were going to take it in unrestricted warfare.
Without firing a bullet, correct?
Correct. But they have no problems firing a bullet. But understand their end game. So they talked about they'd take it down financially, they'd destroy our military, but their end game was to take the United States. And in their plan to take the United States, they say, and this was in the 1990s, they said, well, we're going to have to necessarily kill 220 million Americans. And we may lose 25% or even 40% of our population, but that's okay because we need to take the United States. We need the land. Well, they need the land because they have so sullied their land. They have so sullied their water. So they believe they are entitled to come in and take the United States of America for China. And then they will place their slaves here in order to farm the lands, the
Well, I was just
water.
going to say, Mary, they already have so much of our farmland.
You know what, Nino? I wrote a piece that going back some time, they borrowed monies from the United States, $1.6 trillion, and they never paid it back. Now they paid the British back. And so based upon the fact that they've never paid us back, we need to confiscate those lands. Not only do we need to confiscate those lands, but things like, the corporate structures, of our pork in this country, Smithfield, that needs to go back to the United States. The family that sold Smithfield to China did not want to, and I wonder how Obama encouraged them to hand over Smithfield, the pork business of the United States, to China. So, we have standing. They owe the money. They paid the money that they owed back to the UK in the 1980s. And so it's time to start confiscating lands. The other thing, David, where they're also buying the lands all around our military bases.
Yes, exactly. And also the Sharia Muslims are as well, from my understanding. In fact, there's even a base here in Juarez, in Ciudad Juarez, and I don't want to go too far into this, but it's overlooking all of El Paso, and it's a huge Islamic center, like Combine.
There's a Chinese general that bought the land in Texas. And there's also uh, they're also buying our water supply. They're buying ranches.
So why aren't we confiscating this land? I don't understand. I thought Trump had an executive order that would take land away from the Chinese or anybody that was involved in the.
Well,
Go ahead.
Remember, they downstream it, and so just like they did Gulf Tanner to steal the ports, etc. You don't necessarily see the operation because they don't put it under the names. They downstream it, so it's hard to find who actually owns the land. But we do know that they bought all these lands around our military facilities, our water. And, if you take away the ability for people to farm their own land, to create their own food. Remember, this is what they did in the Netherlands. What the big fight was, is they were taking the people's farms away from them. This is an agrarian nation. This is where the people started out in this country. This is how they are self-sufficient. They grow their own food. This is our system of government. This is what we founded, one nation under God, with people that are free to earn for themselves rather than getting permission from their god Mao.
Right. Mary, let me just pivot just for a second. Let's talk more about John Bolton. Where do you see this going? Where do you see Comey? Comey's pleading not guilty. 𝗬𝗃cia James, mortgage fraud. John Bolton. I'm not sure what the charges are. I guess he
Well,
was. Go ahead. Go ahead.
do we
Where do you
expect them to
see this
tell the
going?
truth? Not at all. And
Right.
it's amusing as all get out, John Bolton. So John Bolton, he gets fired in 2019, and we find that they had put while he's in representing the government, they put a skiff for security purposes into his home, okay? He was sending TSSCI, top secret, compartmentalized information to his wife and his daughter. They've not yet named that that's who he was sending it to.
Okay. So you're hearing it here first.
Yeah. So that is who we believe that he was sending it to. They did not hold the TSSCI to have this kind of information in hand. But the trick of all of this is, as they move it among email to email, it was going to Iran. It was able to be
Wow.
it was able to be picked up by foreign intelligence because you're not sending it in a secure manner. And so as he's sending it supposedly for the reason to his wife and daughter who were helping him write his book, where he put top secret information in his book that he was not allowed to be putting in his book. And then, as you remember, he started turning against Trump. And it was pretty impressive to see a national security advisor turning against the president that he was working for. So what we'll also see that there was a hand in all this with Bolton of Merrick Garland, the
Oh,
Attorney
that's right.
General. And so when you see Merrick Garland, you have to wonder what kind of pressure was being put on John Bolton. Who was John Bolton working for? Was there a single dollar that was deposited into any of his accounts? If there was just one, they can grab the account. And
So
so
so obviously Bolton's in hot water now. Merrick Garland, I would expect him to be indicted at some point.
I would as well. Listen, here's a guy that was sending in the FBI that he was part of this, raiding Catholics, raiding parent teachers meetings. You know, in what world did we ever raid Catholics because they were going to the Latin Mass, the original historical Mass of the Catholic Church? In what way did we ever think the FBI would be raiding parent teachers meetings? And this is, you know, pretty stunning
Right.
that what these people were implementing in this country. It was no less than the Bolshevik Revolution. And as they took over those countries, Russia, what they did to the people, our fellow Americans need to understand they didn't just take it over and implement a political system. They killed the White Russians. They killed them all. Millions and millions of people.
So Mary, where we're at right now with everything that is transpiring in October, I've always said this is Red October. I've heard it's going to be Rocktober. I heard November is going to escalate much more. December is going to be even crazier. I mean, it's obviously going to escalate all the way into the midterms, which I think there's going to be some big power moves played before the midterms.
We just saw them. We just saw it right up in our face yesterday. You saw the governor of Illinois, Pritzker, come out with two high-level military guys that were out of his state who claimed that what Trump is doing is treason, that
Oh,
he's
wow.
declaring war on the people.
Dividing the country, creating a civil war atmosphere.
Exactly. It was full on Alinsky. Mirror onto your adversary that which you are doing. That is exactly what Governor Pritzker just did. He attempted to drum up a war against Trump to get people all worked up about ICE coming in to stop the violence. How many people? 37 killed every weekend, 47. How many shootings? I beg your pardon?
It's insane. I mean,
It is insane.
it's
It's
insane.
bloodshed. It is already a war. And
So from people that I've talked to, they've said that they're trying to push Trump to prematurely declare and then sign the Insurrection Act. Is that the way you see it as well, that they're trying to push him into this?
Well, they're trying to frame him as that this is what he is doing, when in fact he's stopping violence. And the violence, take it back, foundational. Where did all this violence come from? Well, this is part of 𝗬𝗓𝗏 and all the those that have been sent into the country. Remember, this goes back to a very old plan of the communists to destroy this country. It was then exposed when Mike McCormick also came forward and said that it was on again, that he was in the meetings as the stenographer for Biden. He was in the meetings with him and Francis, the bad pope, the black pope. And as they were planning to run our borders with all these illegals, mentally ill, cartels, trafficking, understand that this has been going on since 2012 and that Mike McCormick, the stenographer, turned against them and put this information out. They planned this to destroy the country. They planned to bring the cartels in. The 𝗬𝗓𝗏, Venezuela, what were they doing? They were sending in fentanyl by the submarine loads. And we know that, and it's a low number, just in the last year, they killed 109,000 Americans with fentanyl.
That's a very, very low number from my understanding.
Yeah. And it's the other low number is the amount of children, unaccompanied children, crossing our border. You know, you're seeing little kids that are being led by cartels that are dazed, little 4 and 5-year-olds being dragged, and they're looking at them like, who's got me? Where am I going? And you know what? They told us 347,000 in a year of these children, but it's more than twice that from what I've been told. And think about this. Little angelic, beautiful children being trafficked. And then you have the very words coming out of the cartel's mouths. With drugs, it's a one-off. With the children, we can use them 10 times a day for about 2 years.
Now, I'm going to say something that's very disturbing for a lot of the viewers, but here and on the border, many times when we're driving in the desert, this is going to sound terrible. When I take my dune buggy out, there's little children's clothes that would have belonged to a 2 or 3-year-old with their tennis shoes strung out in the desert. I don't know why this happens many times when we're out there four-wheeling, doing stuff. We'll see little kids' clothes all over the desert. It's so disturbing.
They have what they raise, and you'll see their underwear. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. They have those. They're not just trees, but markers in the desert where they do this stuff.
Where they hang the underwear.
Yeah, right.
You know, this is part of this is we are not those people. We could not even begin to imagine this sort of thing. And I think that's one of the reasons they got away with this kind of garbage for so long. But the idea,
people are just really frustrated. People want to see Trump moving faster. You know, I know that he's putting the troops into, and I always kind of compare it to chess. You know, he's putting his pieces on the chessboard where they need to be strategically. Putting in the troops in Chicago, in Portland, and now I'm hearing San Francisco. We are preparing for something big, correct, Mary?
Yeah, I think a big part of what Trump is doing is he's stopping what they're doing to these little children and the trafficking of little children. And I have been told by some who have been involved in this, they were the ones that told me that it's 700 and some odd thousand, not the 300. They're involved.
I would imagine it's even more than that, Mary.
Well, that's 1 year.
Oh.
That's 1 year. And so they're saying that Trump's focus has been on saving those children, going into the dumbs and the tunnels and the places where they're running all this trafficking.
My Lord, man. It makes every time we talk about this, it makes me sick. Let's talk about the Western Alliance. I know we touched on this on Nino'sCorner.tv, but it's not a conspiracy. I mean, there's an actual John Podesta, Gavin Newsom are part of this Western alliance to defy Trump's policies and laws, correct? And kind of create the atmosphere for a civil war.
It's documented. It is documented. This is John Podesta's plan, the Western Alliance, and he was working with Gavin Newsom. And you have to realize how long California has been gone and how in bed it has been with China for how long? Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein. This has gone on for some time. Remember that were found in a warehouse.
Can't say that.
I beg
We
your
are on
pardon.
YouTube. Just remember, we're on YouTube.
Well,
I know.
All right.
We
The
can talk
idea.
freely on Nino'sCorner.tv, but on FluffTube, it's just ridiculous. Go ahead.
Well, they better become pretty American pretty soon. But the thing of it is that Podesta put out a plan, Western Alliance, California, some other Western states. He's planning on taking Oregon, other states across the nation. His plan is to create so much division. And what do you think these protests, are happening for or about? His plan with the Western Alliance is to split the United States into a civil war. Understand, when you split the people, it is much easier to take the country. That is the overarching plan.
Is it to, in the hopes of also states to break away from the union, correct? I mean, California would probably be the first of them. I mean, Newsom's already kind of banging the war drums and sounding the alarms on Trump. Nobody in California likes this guy, by the way. I would bet 85% of the people in California do not like Newsom. Yeah.
And so watching this, he's go back and look at where he comes from and who he's been working with the entire time. This is a multi-generational operation. And the things that have been taking place and who they've been working with define them. The little games that they play trying to it's not only who they're aligning themselves with against the United States. It's also, remember the big train that they were putting through the state and the billions of dollars that we sent? Billions upon billions. What'd they build? Nada. Not a darn thing. They just ripped off the money.
But they were going to connect. That train was basically, it was a scam job. You're right. But so, I mean, I was thinking more of the green energy movement, taking away the cars. It's going to be like Europe, everyone on a train, 15-minute cities, the whole thing.
Slave colonies. Yeah, that's the whole thing. But they just ripped off and stole all the monies. And that's, again, the same plan. They use the same plan all the time. What we found out from Elon is that with the USAID, is that all the Soros foundations, all the monies that were going to Soros to light our cities up on fire, to create this division and divisiveness, were coming from USAID monies. Why is that important? Those are our tax dollars funding the destruction of our own nation and of our cities. Yeah, exactly.
So when is this? I'm seeing all this news come out right now that the gold is we're all experiencing this. Silver's 54, gold is 4,300. Silver is expected at 75, gold is expected at 5,000, and the real war is the Treasury versus the Federal Reserve, and that it's going to get revalued in gold. We're going back to a gold-backed dollar. Any time frame on that? Because people right now are very nervous. They don't know what to do with their money. People are kind of freaked out. I mean, the dollar's becoming more and more worthless. When do you see this? Go ahead.
Not entirely, because look at the trade deals that Trump has done, and that has only bolstered the dollar. And he's also bringing gold into the country more to support the dollar. Go look at a chart in 1971 when they took away the backing of the dollar in gold, and go and look at where the price of things went. The inflation from 71 to today has gone up so many times over. It used to be that you could be 22 and buy a house, and now it's 37. Look at the salary, look at the amount of people employed, look at the means of production and the outsourcing of our production to China by Henry Kissinger. So all this started when they took away the backing of the dollar. And I believe that Trump is putting that in place. However, there are things that the American people can do. One of those things, start using cash to buy everything. Do not use your credit cards. Use cash. Don't go digital. Use cash. Save in cash. Be careful with, putting away and how you put away your cash. I'll just tell you, the bank said that they were going to redo the bank, and they went and they opened and took everybody's safe deposit box. Be very careful with what you do with your money, but use cash.
I mean, I've been told to invest in gold and silver. That's, I've had some guests on that come on and say that's your safest bet, and that crypto is nothing more than the digital fiat.
Yeah.
I mean, crypto is not going to save anybody, is what I've been told. Not XRP, not Bitcoin. This is just what I'm hearing from people
got
that
no intrinsic value. No intrinsic value. If it holds no value, why do you want to hold it?
Right.
So, they're changing our country in ways that the overarching message is we will control everything, which is why I say don't use your credit cards right now. Start using as much cash as possible, non-trackable purchases. Just, move away from the digital as much as possible. You might find you don't spend so much money if it's not so easy just to slip a credit card through too.
Yeah, right. So let's get to Venezuela. I mean, we're sending troops. I think 10,000 troops have landed in Puerto Rico. Bombers are flying over Venezuela. What do you expect to happen, and when? How fast do you think this is going to transpire?
Well, it is transpiring right now before us. What we're seeing is that we just took out 2 of their ships, and as they took them down,
I call them ships. I call them boats.
Boats. Well, as they went
like
down,
fishing boats. I don't know. Knowing what I know, that they use submarines.
They use submarines.
I mean, why are we celebrating taking out these little boats? I mean, it's almost a joke.
Untrackable submarines. They're made of a material that you're not able to track them, which is interesting in itself. But the boats that they took down, what was should have caught everyone's attention was all the fentanyl that was floating all over the ocean top from taking down those boats. That fentanyl was meant to kill American people. That is part of unrestricted warfare. Remember, David, when they were in Boston and they caught a couple Middle Easterners dumping fentanyl into the municipal water system?
Right. Yes. I mean, yes.
How many people that would have killed? So that's another message.
Scary to me. Like, I don't understand. I mean, are they waiting for the right time to do this? How has not a town or a city been infected with this yet? I don't understand how this hasn't happened. Are they waiting for the right time? They don't want to prematurely make their move?
They don't give us their war plans, but consider something. You talked about Red October, and if they're talking about a certain date, and this No King's March, and you're seeing things like Pritzker come out and again, full on Alinsky, turning on Trump, what he himself has been doing. Bolton, this is the same guy that was on TV every single day going after President Trump for mishandling classified information, which Trump did not. He had every right to have that classified information. Biden did not. He was a VP when his was in his garage, just stuck there openly. And so now Bolton has been indicted for sending classified information on his unsecured personal email system and keeping classified documents at his house. So the very thing that Bolton was doing, he was on television every day going after President Trump and asking for him to be indicted, put in prison for this very thing. Right now, this is holding, 18 years at least for John Bolton that he's facing. And the question is, John Bolton was part of PNAC, Project for a New American Century. The question is, who does this man work for?
Exactly. I would say they're all under the same umbrella as Obama.
Well, whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason and shall suffer death.
I agree with that. So that brings me to this next question. So people are probably sitting there wondering, well, why doesn't Trump just make a move? Why doesn't he just get out there, get his hands dirty, and say, you know what, Insurrection Act, here we go, and just start rounding everybody up? Why doesn't he just do that right now? What are we waiting for? So, Mary, I'll ask you, what are we waiting for?
Take a look. This is 5D chess. You know,
It's
Obama.
the court of public opinion, correct? I mean, we have to get the people
No.
behind Trump.
This is way bigger.
Okay.
They dismantled our military. You know, remember, only our military was given, not Russia's, not China's. They weren't building submarines. They weren't building ships. They brought the enemy inside the wire with the Club K at Port Canaveral. The Club K launched nuclear weapons. They're in business with Rostec, Rosobor, and Export. That's Dr. Ďafar's Gulf Tainer, in business with Russia to launch us, also in business with China, who also has the Club K. Who created the Club K? We, the United States, under Future Combat Systems, 13 years of R&D, $1.6 billion. Ash Carter, the traitor, canceled it. And within 30 days, Russia had it. Took us 13 years, took them 30 days. Not possible. So we are fighting a multi-front war. Trump is looking at the border, these people overrunning our country, while looking at whether we're going to war with China over Taiwan and our chip maker, while Biden hands off Afghanistan, where the lithium that we need to make our chips, handing it to the Chinese handing over Bagram Air Base. Bagram Air Base is what we would have needed to use to fight China off of Taiwan. That is why Trump is demanding Afghanistan back, because of Bagram. You know, this is multifaceted, and they're coming at Trump from all. And have you ever seen anyone so unshakable as he's looking at a two-front war? He's an invasion of the country, the drugging of our young people, the most likely to stand up to fight for this country. They're taking out with fentanyl. The numbers that they took out are equal to what we lost.
Let's not forget, they've emasculated an entire generation. Gen Z, everyone's been emasculated, feminized, while they're beefing up masculinity in China.
Exactly. And telling them through school system that they should hate the country, that they don't teach the history of the country. They don't teach the Constitution. You know, when you probably graduated from 8th grade, you had to pass the test for the Constitution. These kids are being told that this is a terrible country. And oh, by the way, our school books were being written in Qatar.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were removing.
Schools are purely indoctrination camps from the government.
PSYOPs. They were removing our history from all of our books. Do you know that they were going to the libraries around the country, and there are special rooms that are climate controlled, that have original documentation of the founding of our history and all sorts of books. They were collecting all those books from every library. They don't want you to know the truth.
No. And the truth, I mean, even the internet. I mean, look what I'm dealing with on FluffTube, and I mean, Google search. I mean, all this stuff, even AI. I try to type stuff in AI, and it leans left. It goes the other direction. It doesn't give me what I want, the results that I want. People think that, oh, you're allowed to say whatever you want now, David. You know, get on there and do it. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
I still have to play the game, and I still have to place your raids, and I can't be careless. They don't understand. People do not understand the war is real. It's an information war. And when you're the type of person like me, I'm radioactive. I'm a hot coal. I come on here and say the things I guess like you on. You gotta be creative in the way you bring the news.
It's more than that. It's a delivery with testosterone, real men. Okay. And that's imperative. You know, they're not. It's not just they're brainwashing our males that they're supposed to look like, these neutered fools. Okay.
Yeah, neutered, exactly. Neutered men.
Listen, it's not with an accident that they were pushing, in the grammar schools since Obama came in, Bill Ayers, this perversion, anti-Christianity. Bill Ayers, the very first day that Obama was put into office, Bill Ayers was visiting kindergartens. Now, if you'd ever read Larry Grathwohl's book on Bill Ayers and his group and how perverse they were, then you start to understand who some of these people are. Or maybe when you look at Frank Marshall Davis, Obama's mentor, that he was pushing NAMBLA, the national, to make it legal to have. I mean, in what world is this normal?
Not normal. No, this is, I never thought in a million years that it'd be here. I mean, if you would have told me this 15, 20 years ago, I would have said, I don't know. But I mean, but we could definitely see it coming. Look how they did it with the hip hop culture, like in the 90s, you know, taking the father out of the households. Music is a big way to influence the society, especially the youth. Hollywood. I mean, this is how they do it. They
It's all
own
part
all
of a
that. They got
setup.
all their bases covered.
If you want to know the plan to what they were doing and to recognize it, go to the AmericanReport.org, read a piece that I put up. It's the 45 points of communism. When you see the 45 points that were exposed in 1963, you know, get the woman out of the house, make the woman work. They can't raise their own children. You know, this is the very plan that someone out of the Soviet Union read on the floor of Congress and what they needed to do to implement in this country. And the only thing that they hadn't gotten through was the reversal of the Connolly Amendment, where the people of the United States were put on trial only by their own courts in the United States, not by the United Nations. The United Nations played a heavy hand in all this. They're part of running our borders, a big part. But the Connolly Amendment, they had not been able to get through, putting our courts under the United Nations. Why was that important? Because what they did instead was they put forward.
No, let's not talk about that. Well, let's go. We'll talk about that more on
Well,
Nino'sCorner.tv. It's just too hot for YouTube. We've already gone so far off the rails here. I know my
Yes.
audience is going to get pissed off at me, and I know it, folks, but that's why I'm still on fluff. But I got to stop it now. This is continued on Nino'sCorner.tv. It's just getting too hot for YouTube, Mary.
All righty.
I love you to death. Thank you so much for joining me, folks. I'm going to read What the Fuck News right now. Mary, thank you. She's on Nino'sCorner.tv where we finish this, and she talks about the Western Alliance, Podesta, Newsom. The whole thing is on there, but this is getting way too hot for YouTube, Mary.
And also join us on the Intelligence Briefing with John B. Wells with Nino.
Absolutely. Yep. Oh, yeah. John B. Wells, one of my favorites.
And your interviews are great there, so thank you.
You got it, Mary. And yeah, folks, so you'll be a continuing guest on my show, right, Mary?
We'll be back with the generals in next month.
On November 20th. All right. Folks, it's just getting too hot for me. Thank you, Mary, so much. I'm sorry, folks. I know you want to go ahead. Go ahead.
Keep fighting, David. You're doing a great job.
I'm trying to stay alive.
I know.
Trying to keep my nose above water. If I'm not taking hits from Fluff Tube, I'm taking hits from the audience. So I know right now they're like, they're going to go at it, but it is what it is, folks. Thank you, Mary, for joining me.
God bless.
All right. And then Alex. So, Alex, you there? Whew.
Yeah.
Boy, that was hot, bro. That was hot.
It's so true, though. It's sickeningly it's just sickening.
It is. I mean, dude, but I mean, where we're at, people don't realize it's just beginning. They think just because Trump's in office, like this is the fight is beginning. It just means both fighters have entered the ring. That's all it means. Before it was just one fighter. Now both fighters have entered the ring, and it's go time.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, we're in for a lot coming.
Yeah, I mean, this is just starting. And my obviously, just like everyone in my audience, you got to think, geez, what's going to happen after Trump's gone? I mean, who's going to be the successor? I mean, really, if you think about it, the deep state just has to wait a little bit longer to make their moves.
They'll wait as long as they need to. They've been planning this, working on this for decades and decades. What's a couple more years to them? Like, yeah.
All right, let's get to What the Fuck News, folks. This is What the Fuck News, and let me tell you what, in What the Fuck News, I got to tell you, when I read this, I was sick. I was almost not going to put this on What the Fuck News, but I'm going to. Where the hell is this world going? Where are we? What the hell? This is so demonic, so satanic, so sick. Boy and girl face RAPE charges and attempted murder charges in an attack on a 5-year-old. Okay. And these two, this is a 9-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl in Ohio are facing charges of RAPE and attempted murder after an attack on a 5-year-old girl in a Cleveland field, the authorities said on Wednesday. The girl and boy were charged with attempted murder, 4 counts of RAPE, 2 counts of felonious assault, strangulation, and kidnapping in the attack last month, according to the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office. In a post on Facebook this month, the victim's mother gave an agonizing account of the horrific injuries to her 5-year-old daughter. Now, remember, it was a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old that did this to a 5-year-old. Children. She said on September 13th, her daughter was found unresponsive, bloody, with her hair pulled from her scalp and covered in bruises, among other injuries sustained in the attack. My daughter did not look like herself, she added in a Facebook post. The New York Times is not naming the mother or her daughter because the newspaper typically does not identify victims of sex crimes. The 5-year-old girl had been left with a family member while her mother underwent a medical procedure when she left the home and couldn't be found. The mother said when the mother arrived at the home, her daughter was being treated by emergency responders, she said. It is unclear what the girl's current condition is right now. On October 7th, the Cleveland Division of Police posted a statement on its Facebook page saying that the department was aware of a social media post about a current case. It added that the police were actively investigating and unable to share information. The department said in a statement on Wednesday that it began investigating a case involving multiple children under the age of 10, both as victims and as suspects in the investigation. The police department declined to comment further, citing the possibility of jeopardizing the case as well violating the constitutional rights and privacy of the people involved. These are kids. Man, folks, I mean, demonic. Children, I never would have thought children are capable of doing such things. And I don't know. I think I know these kids are going to be charged and tried, but I don't know. You all may want to look into this and see just what they're going to be. I don't know how you charge a 9 and a 10-year-old. I don't know how they're going to go about doing this. I don't think I've ever heard of this before. Maybe some of you have. You kids doing learned behavior is what one of you said in the chat. Yeah, it has to be learned behavior. They got to have for a child to have that much hatred in their heart, it has to be learned. I don't see how it's not learned. But then again, think about the access to the internet, things they could have seen on the internet. You know, back in our day, it was just movies, horror movies, and that was bad enough. But, now with exposure to everything on the internet, they probably saw something their parents were looking at or their parents abused them. Who knows? But the fact that they were able to do this blows my mind. I was even thinking about not even. So in Ohio, a juvenile suspect must be 14 years or older for the case to be eligible to be transferred to adult court. So you got to be 14 or older to make you eligible for it to be transferred to adult court. So I don't know. What do you think, Alex?
That's just insane. That's so disturbing. A 9 and a 10-year-old, how do you even, how does your, I didn't even know.
And if they're able to do that at 9 and 10, what are they going to be able to do when they're 15, 20?
It's just, their parents need to be charged with a crime, need to be investigated. I mean, criminally investigated, not just CPS, but.
So you think their parents should be charged with a crime?
If you have a 9 and a 10-year-old that do something like that, they need to be investigated. It needs to be investigated because probably something is going on there. So they've done something to those kids that made them know about that behavior. Otherwise, you don't know about it. I mean, when I was 9 and 10, I had no idea. You know,
it didn't
just
even
barely
came into your mind.
I wouldn't have even, it's just crazy, man.
It blows my mind. It boggles my mind, dude. I don't know. I just shows you that the type of world we're living in. I blame the internet. I think that massive exposure to all that crap on the internet, and then plus, obviously, what the parents had to be doing. I mean, logically, you think the parents are doing something to the kids, man.
Yeah.
Like
well, and they don't identify. They don't give any.
And what do you do with a 9 and 10-year-old, dude? They're babies.
Yeah, I mean, right. They can't be. It's like it's not criminal justice that they need. They need to be committed in some way to some institution and figure out how to untangle that.
I was working at a rehabilitation clinic years and years ago. Like I was 20, 21 years old. I quit after 3 weeks because it was so disturbing. But it was like a halfway house for kids, it was like a kids that would come out of juvie or getting ready to go to juvie, like back and forth. And one of the kids there, his name was, well, I don't want to say his name, but he was 10 years old and he tried to murder his parents. Like at night, what the hell 10-year-old thinks about doing that? Then you got to think, well, what? And then he wet the bed every night. I remember that one thing about him. That one fact about this kid was he would wet the bed every night, but they threw him in this juvie program because he tried to murder his parents. Well, then that makes me think, well, why is he wetting the bed every night? What's he scared of? Mm-hmm. Obviously, someone's coming in at night and playing with this kid, doing something to this kid to where he wanted to,
they try to
look parents, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And kids, sometimes the soiling themselves as a response to trauma from somebody. Yeah. And, you don't know, there's different reasons for that, but yeah, it's so disturbing, man. These kids, how much of this is going on just in,
it's everywhere, bro.
Abuse of children. And then they grow up and they start, doing horrible things back. It's
a vicious cycle, dude, and I think this is way more prevalent and more rampant than people know.
Yeah, and we need, not all cultures are exactly equal and exactly the same and treat this stuff exactly the same way. And like we have a very high standard here in this country and in the Western world for how we treat children and what we expect adults and what how to be. And not every culture is like that, and that's important. Why we can't just we have a bunch of people here now that aren't supposed to be here, that are bringing, they don't ever identify give any other identifiers or qualifiers in this story.
They're bringing their value system here, which there is no value system. If you go to Ciudad Juarez, there's a lot of good families, but in the poor areas, the community raises the kids, and then that's how cartels go and get the kids to make them sicarios or, assassins, dude. The community raises the kids basically in the poor areas, man. Yeah. So that's they're bringing that system here.
Yeah.
Is there any super chats?
Yeah, we do have a few. Let's got 5 of them here.
Kelly Panetsky, super sticker. Thank you so much, Kelly. I hope all of you liked Mary Fanning. I think she was a good guest. Let me know if you like her, if you want to keep seeing her on. She's on Nino's Corner.tv talking in depth on how Podesta created the Western Alliance. Yeah, so this makes all the sense in the world. I mean, how this was created and how they're going to defy Trump at every turn and hopefully create this civil war atmosphere. Moon Diaries, thank you. Killer Rail, continue to pray for Trump and his supporters. The devil is at work. Thank you, David, for all you do. 289 days sober for me. Wow, man. Good job. Congratulations. Continue. You're going to love it, man. I mean, there's some boring. You learn to be more creative with your time. Like I said, idleness is the devil's workshop. So all I can say is pick up new hobbies and habits, man. And when and some days if you're bored, like some days when I get bored, I'm like, oh, this is when I would go drink. Like that's when you got to know, like, okay, I got to do something productive with my time. Like go mow the lawn or something. I don't know. Yeah. Something. Jim Barbado. Thank you so much, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Brian, I'm a cop in AZ here. The culpable age is 8. There are a number of kids that get arrested for sex-related crimes. Really? Damn, dude. But see,
Night.
this makes it's believable because this is what was happening at that center, bro. Like, that's why I quit. It was just so disturbing. All the kids started having sex with each other, by the way. And it was an all-boys rehabilitation clinic. So that should tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all, dude, it was so gnarly, bro. I had to get out of there. I was like, I'm out, and I can't do this. It was so disturbing. Like, I went in there with good intentions, and I was like, I would see how they would have to restrain kids and hold the kid down on the desk. And I was like, man, I'm not all about that. But then a week later, I'm doing it because, dude, you can't. You give them an inch, they took a mile. They were so manipulative. At the age of 8, 10, 15 years old, dude, 15, forget it, dude. They're trying to fight you. Like, it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, God bless these people that work in those centers and institutions with these children. And it's so hard. And, man, but they need somebody.
Yeah. Well, Alex, thanks for joining me, man.
Right,
we'll be back on Monday, folks. I hope you like the guest, Mary Fanning. And I got to tell you, she has a killer show. I'm going to put it up right now on ninoscorner.tv right now. And Ringside with Nino is the 29th. And General's Tent with Sheila Holm and 𝗀𝗂𝗶𝗹 the 30th. We're going to be wargaming a lot of stuff. Alex, thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Nino. Take care, buddy.
And the new heavyweight champion of podcasting and the black sheep of broadcasting, folks.